What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the 9x9 Volleyball Show. It is Tuesday, June 21st. My name is Rob St. Clair. That is Everett DeLorme. Everett, we are back to the normal format of the show now that we've had a week off after just pumping out all sorts of crazy amounts of content during the week of Volleyball Nations League in Ottawa. But you are back in Toronto. I'm back in Chicago, and VNL has certainly not slowed down. There's still volleyball going on all over the world, but before we jump into the week of women's volleyball that we missed and men's, it's getting back up again. Let's do a little recap of our Ottawa experience, because there was a lot of it. We put out so many videos that we were kind of just on autopilot.
Well, I mean, hey, well, without even talking about the videos that we put out, like, I feel like that's almost secondary to the experience that we had in Ottawa. First of all, you and I got to meet for the first time.
About time, yeah. Which was awesome.
Which was awesome. It was a great week. I had to refrain myself from swearing there just to add emphasis of how awesome it was. And then it was just, we were in the thick of it the entire time. It was your first VNL event. For me, it was fantastic to come back, and it's kind of like seeing, old friends and family they haven't seen for a long time. The referees and the people who, help run the events, and the venue people, because there's been multiple there back at TD. So yeah, it was great to be there. Great to see the boys in action. Great to see live volleyball again. Like, how awesome was it to be able to, and then at the same time, how awesome was it just to be able to sit courtside and watch these matches go down, right?
Honestly, that was my favorite part, because like I talked about a bunch on the shows that we did live there from the gym. Like I was commentating most of the matches during the event, and while I was commentating, I really had the worst seat in the house. Like, I was up really high, like right along the net, just about as high as you could be. Like,
you need to bring that into the notes.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. It's like talking point number one when I get in front of some people that matter here in the next week or two. But yeah, the games that you and I were just like walking around courtside. My favorite spot was up on our boy DJ Paul LeBlanc, like next to him on his little stand, like by the baseline. You got so much of your great like phone videos, slow-mos from there. And that was some of my favorite matches, were the ones that we were just like walking around. We were there courtside, because, like we've talked about so many times, there's just no substitute for watching volleyball in real life.
No, absolutely not.
No substitute at all. And to be back to that after all this time was just the best.
Especially with all those players too. Like, it's so many players that I've never seen live and in person. And it's weird to say, because we talk about them like we know them, but because they play on a different continent usually, and we don't get to watch them. Like Engapeth and Gianelli and Fornal, and so get to see Nicola for the first time.
Wow,
it was
impressive.
Yeah, exactly. It was just something else, and it gives you just such a better notion, everyone. And I mean, we missed very little of these matches. Like, we watched pretty much all of them.
I was there for every single one. Yeah, yes. I didn't miss one.
Yeah, exactly. So it was great. And then speaking of that DJ stand that we were sitting on, we actually got pretty lucky. It was originally supposed to be like a VIP spot. Like, it was supposed to be, because remember the first day we were there, it was
there were some tables there
and the high chairs and stuff like that. But it was because the data volley guys were supposed to be high up in the corner, and they were too far away, so they couldn't see, so they got switched. So that's how it ended up being our spot. But I think the FIVB should keep, or Volleyball World should keep that, and just have that as like a press filming spot, and just let people make all the content.
It's the best angle ever. And yeah, that's one of the things that I loved, that I want to give that feedback back, that's a phenomenally good spot to watch the games from. Just having those 8 teams there, being surrounded by them constantly, getting to talk to so many of them, getting all the interviews that we got that are here on this YouTube channel. There was just so much that we were able to get out of that week that we wouldn't have gotten if we weren't there in person. Like, just talking to Nikola Gerbic, talking to Andrea Gianni, talking to Ben Josephson a million times for just hours on end, every second of which I was just on the edge of my seat waiting for what he was going to say.
You've jumped onto the Benjo bandwagon now, haven't you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, listening to the man, how could you not? He's just a gold mine of sound bites. And so, yeah, getting all that, and then getting to celebrate with the Canadian national team after the win over Bulgaria, which really was a relief for everybody in that city. That was a blast. Great way to get the weekend off.
Yeah, that was something else. It was a little bit of a rough week, and it was weird at one point, because I've never seen them lose that much
Yeah, to go 0-9 in sets to start the tournament was not
Exactly.
ideal.
It was hard. But furthermore, after the win against Bulgaria, I went over to coach to coach, and we were walking to go do the interview, and I was just like, Coach, like, and he said something funny too along the lines of like, good, now you can be a little bit happier in this interview. And I was like, man, I'm sorry, but I don't think I've ever seen you lose 3 games in a row. And he looked at me and said, I can't remember the last time I've lost 3 games in a row. So it was such a relief. Great kind of ending to what was a fantastic week. And now we're back here, but we did get a bit of a shout out while we were there. Oh, well, first and foremost, I do think
we did.
I do think we should thank everyone from the Discord who was there.
Man, I should have put the picture in here. Dang it.
Oh, yeah, that would have been awesome.
That was a miss. But yeah, we got to meet up with people from the Discord and put some faces and voices and personalities to these Discord usernames that we've been interacting with for the better part of like 2 years. And that was just so cool.
Yep.
Got to meet so many people who are really active contributors to what we do, because the Volleyball Source Discord is where a good amount of our information comes from. Like, it's impossible for just you and I and Dan when he's here. Like, the 3 of us can only do so much. We only have so many hours of volleyball viewing that we are capable of, and the Discord is full of so much great info that we can't possibly get that makes the content we make better. And getting to meet those people and thank those people and just have some drinks and hang out with them and tell some stories off the record and just all that was really, really fun. So if you want to be a part of such a community, the Volleyball Source Discord is exploding in population. It's about 600 people now, which is crazy. Links in the description. And yeah, whatever was alluding to was in addition to the like gigantic viewership numbers we got during that week in Ottawa, we also got a little accidental shout out from one of the Canadian national team players. Check out this clip from Everett's interview with Brett Walsh.
But I think the main things is, at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of
your shirt. A little free shout out for you.
A nice little stutter there for me.
And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win. But I think the main things is,
watch it again.
Volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and
I think Dan was here for this one too.
Yeah, he was. He's the one holding the phone.
Oh yeah, he's holding the phone. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was just perfect. Was wearing the shirt. Got the free promo. And overall, great time. Sucked to see Canada only go 1-3. Was hoping to go 2-2 at least, but overall was a great week, and glad that volleyball's back.
Totally.
It's official. Glad that volleyball is back.
Feels really good. So yeah, check out the last live 9x9 we did after the last games there from Ottawa from about a week and a half ago now. That's if you want to go check out kind of our full recaps from everything that happened that week. That's a good spot to do that. But now, Everett, we are back at home. We are watching the rest of the tournament just from afar, just like the rest of the fans are.
Yeah, and we're just fans now. We're plebs.
Right. And we took last week off, which I would like to think was well-deserved, and we missed really an entire week of Women's Volleyball Nations League. So now the women's VNL like preliminary round is 2/3 of the way done. Everybody's played 8 matches out of their 12, and we're starting to get a little bit of clarity on who's looking like teams that are legit, who's going to make the playoffs, and who's maybe going to get relegated. And the biggest surprise, at least to me, is Japan, undefeated at an almost perfect 23 points.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird how this tournament lays out. Like after week 1, there's so much left, and after week 2, it's oh my goodness, this is pretty much done.
It's almost it, yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Japan's just playing really steady right now, and I think they're just one of those teams that's they've got a lot of quality throughout their entirety the lineup. And I think that's really something can be said about their women's team, is just that they've got so much quality throughout that they can kind of roll the bench and have that ability to still have quality while their teams are kind of tooling and fixing things around. So I mean, they did get that big win against the US, which put them on the top, and then they've continued to roll since then. But for me, kind of after week 1, Thailand was the big story, but they kind of cooled down a little bit.
Yeah,
except for when they played Canada in the first game over there in the Philippines. They kind of smacked us around a little bit. But yeah, I was expecting a little bit more from Thailand. They let me down a little bit.
Yeah, so now they're sitting in 8th, like right on the bubble for the playoffs.
Right
And
on the cusp. Yeah.
right, reminder that Turkey, or as they have fully like rebranded
Turkey.
according to the United Nations, Turkey. They want everyone to pronounce it how they pronounce it now. So whatever, if we make that mistake, we apologize. We don't mean to offend any of our Turkish fans, but so Turkey automatically qualifies. They're hosting the finals in Ankara, but after that, there's 7 more teams that get spots in the finals, and Thailand's sitting in 8th right now, because Turkey, I think, is in 5th. Thailand right now looking at that spot, but Poland is, I think, 1 point behind them. So pretty competitive there in the middle on the women's side.
I do think that there's a bit of a gap there from Poland to the Dominican Republic. I do think that there's a bit of a gap there, and I don't think Dominican, Canada, or Belgium are going to be trying to push that. I think they're all kind of just picking up wins where they can.
I totally agree, but the point that I was just about to make was a really pleasant surprise was the recovery of the Dominican Republic this past week, going 3-1, and their only 5-set loss was to Italy, who had Paola Egonu that week. So I thought that they looked terrible that first week in Louisiana and really, really rebounded nicely. I thought that I think they're a core team. I don't think they can get relegated, but they looked. No, they are. They are a challenger team, actually. My apologies.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way that Dominican Republic's a core team. They do not have the money.
They do not. And so they could hypothetically get relegated and really rescued themselves from that after a much, much better week in week 2.
What's even more impressive, too, about this Dominican push here is that they've done it without Bethania de la Cruz.
Right.
Who has been, basically the go-to, or Sheila
Castro. No Brenda Castillo either.
Sorry, Brenda Castillo, not Sheila Castro. Yeah. That's my apologies. Yep, Brenda Castillo. So, that's big for the Dominican. Kind of thinking that maybe we caught them at a good time. Canada playing them in week 1 because they're looking real good right now.
Speaking of Canada, 2-2 on the week for the female maple volleys.
1-3.
Was it 1-3?
It was 1-3. Yeah, lost to Thailand, beat Belgium, lost to China, lost to Bulgaria.
I thought you beat Bulgaria.
No, we lost to Bulgaria, and it was a tough one to watch. It was just not.
Oh, you beat Bulgaria in 5. I've got it. 3-2, 15-11 in the 5th.
No, that's the men.
It's not.
It is 100%. That's the men.
Oh,
absolutely is. I watched that game.
Dang it! I was looking through this. I'm like, oh yeah, Canada beat Bulgaria. Good for them.
No,
I was wrong. Oops.
Yeah, it was 3-0 for Bulgaria, and it was a bit of a frustrating game to watch. They were struggling to get any momentum going, and I know they sat most of the starters against China. Wanted to play them against Bulgaria. That was the chance to kind of go 2-2 because you know what? If this team can finish 500, that's a massive win for this program. I think already this entire VNL already is the fact that we're 3-5 after 2 weeks. Like we were 3-12 last year, so we've already equaled last year's win totals. We've gotten some pretty good when we've won emphatically. I think there was another good things too, that a lot has been left on the table in those losses, especially against Bulgaria. I think that team looks back and kind of that's one that they wanted to get. But yeah, I think overall things are looking really good for the Canadian women's national team. Not as good as the U.S., of course, but in our bubble, in our realm, fantastic job so far by Coach Windsor and that team of ladies.
Yeah, I have seen a little bit of the Bulgarian women so far, and have just not been impressed at all. They just don't really have any singular weapons, or they don't really come together that much as a team to impress me all that much. I kind of expected Canada to win that one, which is why I was looking at the men's score and I got a little bit confused. So speaking of Bulgaria and Canada, not only is there a race for the playoffs, the top 8 in women's VNL, there's also a race for relegation. Because it's not a COVID year anymore. We're not in the bubble in Rimini. We don't have that safety net like last year where nobody gets relegated. There will be one of the following 5 teams: Belgium, Bulgaria, Canada, Dominican Republic, and Poland. One of the 5 will get relegated out of VNL. Remember, it should have just been 4, but Bulgaria filled the spot left by Russia when they were kicked out of all the tournaments, including women's VNL. So one of those 5 teams is going to get relegated. So Korea, who has been just embarrassing so far, 0-8 with only 1 set won the entire tournament, for some stupid formatted reason, they're actually safe. They can't get relegated. Neither can the Netherlands, but Bulgaria, the next team up, Yeah, Everett's making the money sign. I agree with him. Bulgaria right now in relegation position, and if Canada had been able to win that match, it would have been even more likely that Bulgaria wouldn't stay more than 1 year in VNL. But that, I love relegation races, Everett. This is one to follow with, the challenger teams, let's see, 14, 12, 11, 10, and 9 in the standings right now. So it's very, very tight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that Bulgaria loss was really, it's definitely the one that got away for us, right? Like that's the one that we should have won and been able to take home, but we didn't. We move on. We're still in a pretty decent spot. We just need to take it to the house next week. But hey, they're going to be playing at home in Calgary, so huge opportunity there for the Canadian women's national team to pick things up and finish things on a good note. And I think there's an outside chance that they make the playoffs, that they sneak into 8th spot. I don't think it's out of this realm. Like who do they play? They play Turkey. Okay, that's not great.
Turkey, Serbia, Germany, Netherlands. I mean, you're not going to beat Turkey, and it just depends on which Serbian team shows up. But you could beat Germany and the Netherlands, but that probably won't be good enough.
I mean, if they can go 3-1 here,
3-1 might be good enough.
Like 6-6.
Yeah, that might be good enough. But yeah, Serbia, even without, we haven't seen Tijana Boskovic at all this tournament. Serbia looks kind of good. They've played a couple good matches. I think they beat Turkey in 5 last week, so they've shown a little bit of promise. I would be surprised if Canada could pull that one off. But we are talking about Calgary here, which, by the way, if you can get there, get your butts in seats for that event. But yeah, you got to beat Germany, you got to beat Netherlands.
I mean, at the end of the day for Canada, if we stay in the VNL, that's a win.
Totally. Yeah, I totally agree. A couple other things on the women's side before I move on. My American team, the USA, perfect 4-0 in the Philippines last week. They said
you guys are looking good.
Yeah, they look great. It was interesting how Karch managed the rosters, because in Louisiana week 1, they brought basically the whole B team except both Olympic opposites. And in the Philippines, it was really the opposite. They brought really most of the Olympic team except neither of the two opposites. So no Annie Drews, no Jordan Thompson, but my girl Danielle Catino got a decent amount of playing time, another Purdue girl. That was great to see. We saw Micah Hancock and Lauren Carlini as Jordan Poulter continues to chill stateside. Justine Wong Arantes was there, like Catherine Plummer, Kelsey Robinson were there. The middles were there.
Good.
Told Plummer? You, dude, I really have faith in her on the national team more so than I do in club. She looked great.
She looks so much different playing for the U.S. national team than she does 100%. Playing for her club teams. Like, she's just way more confident the way she moves. She's way more definitive with the way she attacks. Like, she plays in that number one role. Maybe she just has that one of those mentalities where she can't play that secondary role.
Another shout out I want to give is Ali Franti, who is so far leading the U.S. in scoring through 8 matches, just because she's really one of the only players that has played more, but she looks really, really good. And I know I think she's teaming up with Carlini at which Italian team next year? Maybe like a Casalmaggiore or something like that. One of those like middle of the pack playoff Italian teams. Her and Carlini are both going there, which is cool. Yeah, Ali Franti's looked good. She's like a good 3rd or 4th outside hitter piece that has a great chance of making a world championship roster. So she's been pretty good. USA at 7-1, very good chance to win the tournament. I think if they played Japan again with the full roster, Absolutely. We've got a very good chance.
100%. I mean, that's what I think is Japan. Maybe it's a little bit of strength of schedule.
It could be.
I think maybe that's definitely one of the things there is that maybe they're just not playing the best teams at the best times right now.
Yeah, so they've got so far they played Korea, Germany, Dominican, which are 3 really bad teams. At least in week 1, they were all bad. And then the U.S., which is a very good win. Then they beat Poland, they beat Bulgaria, they beat Thailand, and they beat China. So China is the best team they've really played so far, other than the U.S. B team.
They've played a lot of the bottom of the table, and I feel like they've got one of the easiest schedules going, which is somewhat suspicious. But hey, this is the FIVB.
Yeah, it happens. They're coming up. They have Netherlands, Turkey, Serbia, Belgium. Yeah, that's pretty easy. They don't see Brazil. They don't see Italy.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a very fortunate break. So they'll get a great seed into the playoffs, and then that'll really put them to the test. Let's look at some individual performances so far. One of the things that jumped out to me is how good Britt Herbots looks,
and how
and
bad
also
Belgium is.
Exactly, and how bad Belgium is. It sucks. It's a shame to see Britt Herbots finally back after like a year.
Belgium is the Netherlands. They're the equal to the Dutch on the men's side.
Yeah,
you've just
like
got
that.
one. You've just got one player who's real good, who does really really well in Italy, puts up numbers for one of the top teams, is ranked internationally, and then the rest of your team just doesn't hold up.
It's not quite good enough. Yeah. So Belgium 3-5, only 8 points. They did have a good 5-set win over, I believe, Poland, which was pretty impressive. But yeah, Herbott's leading the entire tournament in scoring right now. She's basically the Namir, like you're talking about, where she's just got to. She just has to score. Has to score 30 points a match for them to have a chance. So that's an interesting one there. And then there's some of the leading scores so far. You're seeing the individual stat leaders are just the players who've played more at this point, because a lot of the better teams have, like the really, really good teams, like the tournament favorites, USA, Brazil, Italy, have totally recycled in different players for the 2 weeks so far. And I'm curious to see who they bring to week 3 to try and grab those playoff spots versus resting some people. Last thing was this one of the matches that I watched that I thought was really good was this one, Brazil versus Turkey in Brazil. Turkey gave them a pretty good run. Took that first set pretty convincingly, and they almost made just a miracle comeback in the fourth, but couldn't quite get it done. And it was kind of the Gabi Guimaraes revenge game against her coach Giovanna Guidetti from club, and a lot of the Vakifbank girls that play for Turkey. And Gabi was terrific in that one. So I thought that match was pretty good, and Brazil started to look a little more like themselves.
To be honest, this is only I only think that there's only 4 teams on the women's side that can truly win it. Like the top 4 right now, you've got United States, Brazil, Italy, and Turkey. And outside of that, China doesn't have the team. Serbia, even with Boskovic, just don't think they have enough around. Like they have an outside chance. Maybe they get
I do. I think if Serbia brings Boskovic, which I'm not even sure if she's on the 25-player roster. I actually think she might not be. I'll check on that really quick. Yeah, if Boskovic isn't there, they have no chance at all. If she is, I think that they're better than Turkey, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm looking
Do you rate Serbia's outsides better than Turkey's outsides?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I think Lazovic and Mihailovic are both better than anybody.
Mihailovic's true.
Anybody that Turkey can put out there. And yeah, I do not see Tijana Boskovic on the 25 player roster for Serbia.
Then Serbia does not have a chance.
Agreed. So, I think it's Brazil. I think it's Brazil, USA, and Italy. I don't. 100%. I think they're all 3 of those are a little better than Japan, and they're a little better than Turkey.
You're so right. What you said a few episodes ago about how Turkey is just missing those outsides. Watching them, they're so right side heavy. And even if you look at that box score right there, you got 21 for Karakurt and then 10 across the board, like that. Like they just need some secondary scoring, and it needs to come from the left side. Otherwise, like it's just not going to happen for them. They just need one player,
just one,
right?
Just one. It doesn't have to be both. They just need one,
right? Like they just keep on naturalizing other players, like. They picked up
Melissa Vargas and Alexia Karatsashu, and they're both opposites. Like, what are they doing?
Exactly, right? So, like, what are you doing here, Turkey? Convert one of them, probably Karatasu. She's young enough. Maybe she can still learn.
She's left-handed. I don't like that.
Lefty on the left side. I like that. A little bit of Kovacevic. Like, man, imagine a female version of Micheletto. I guess you can't pass, though. I guess you can't.
No, I think.
Turkey, I don't know. Go find yourself a left side, and then you'll be in the. I still think they have an outside chance, especially since they're going to be playing at home.
That's a good point.
You're going to be playing. You're going to be playing. Is it Ankara or Istanbul?
It's in Ankara.
It's going to be Ankara, right? So you're going to be playing at home in Ankara. Yeah, absolutely. Let's just run with it. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk more about the third week of women's this time next week as it just starts to get underway. But yeah, only 4 matches left per team on the women's side as they try and make the playoffs. Yeah, it really has gone pretty fast. Speaking of weeks just getting underway, let's move over to men's VNL. So men's VNL going down in 2 places in the world right now. The first one is in the Philippines, who did a phenomenal job hosting the women last week. Crowds have been insane, man. Insane.
I do want to address this real quick. I feel like there's been a lot of hate, some in the Discord, some I've just seen in the volleyball ether on the internet, on the Philippines getting the VNL, even though they don't have teams. I absolutely love this, right?
Me too.
F1 is one of the biggest spectacles in the world, and they have circuits in a bunch of countries where they don't have drivers, right? So let's find ways to get volleyball into markets like the Philippines is volleyball crazy. They love their volleyball,
They're
right?
obsessed with
So
it.
let's put it there where it was great. It looked like all of the players had a fantastic time. It was, to be honest, it was kind of tough to watch, being in the middle of the night, and I was
Time zone was brutal for us.
Time zone was brutal. It was like 3 a.m.s, 5 a.m., stuff like that. So I'd wake up and try to watch stuff in bed and just fall back asleep. So it didn't happen. But honestly, good call. Like, good call by the the volleyball world. A rare venue win here. Because we're not even to talk about how embarrassing the beach volleyball world championships were in Italy, where they had like Shreveport Bossy City type numbers for the majority of the tournament. Like watching world championship semifinals, and you could hear like just like the crickets in the crowd. It was terrible. So volleyball world, good job at bringing volleyball to the Philippines. I think that's a fantastic call, and good for those fans over there.
Yeah, I agree with you. They really showed out. They put on a phenomenal show for the women last week, and so far today. So we already had 4 matches today played, 2 in the Philippines ridiculously early in the morning, and then 2 in Bulgaria, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, especially with sending Japan there, that was a smart move because they command, as we've talked about many times, a massive fan base. And then so those are the teams playing in the Philippines. I would say that's a little bit of a weaker pool. However, we'll talk about rosters in a second, and France and Italy both basically bringing the A teams. The other site for the men this week is Bulgaria, another great home crowd. Bulgaria played today. They packed the house. It looked awesome. This pool, I would say, is a little bit stronger. Poland brought the A team. Brazil brought the A team. Serbia brought the A team. Bulgaria at home is a little dangerous, and then Canada and USA. So let's jump into the rosters of some of these teams before we get to the matches that happened today. First off, I'm talking about Poland bringing the A team. Everett, this is it. This might be the 14 World Championship players right here, with maybe a couple exceptions. But this is it. This team is nasty.
Right away, I would make one change, and I think you're going to agree with me on it. No Gregor Lomach, and I'd put in Jan Firle. After what I saw last week in Ottawa, I think Firle has to be there. I thought he did a fantastic job, but you're not wrong, right? No Hubert, right? Leon, let's be honest, he's trying to push it, like he has to say that. Yeah. He has to say that, but like, let's be honest, don't push for it. You don't need to run for it. I mean, maybe there's part of him that's like, dude, I've lost a lot recently. Like, no Scudettos, no Champions League, no Olympics, no European championships. So
hardware.
Like I need to come in and get that dub at the World Championships, especially since it's going to be at home. Maybe that is going to entice him to come back a little bit faster. But you're exactly right. Like, this is the 14 moving forward, plus or minus a few guys. But
yeah, so I think Firle may be the second setter. I think Bartosz Bednor's maybe in for one of the outside hitters, maybe Kvolek. And honestly, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I thought. So they have these 4 middles there: Biniak, Kłos, Kochanovsky, and Poremba. I think they maybe should bring 5 outside hitters and only 3 middles. I don't think there's that much utility to having 4 middle blockers, with the 4th one, Mateusz Poremba, being so young and he doesn't really add that much. If you need a 3rd middle or like a blocking sub sort of character, you've got Karl Kłos for that. And then I think the value that Bartosz Bednors would bring, along with Kvolek, who I thought was really good in Ottawa, I think that might be a little bit more of a better use of a roster spot. But yeah, this Polish team, and we're going to see Janusz this week finally. We've got Biniak and Kochanovsky back. We've got Kaczmarek and Kurek. We've got Śliwka, Semeniuk, Fornal.
This is really when we get to see this is really when we get to see the new era of Polish volleyball.
Yeah,
right?
Yes,
like
it is.
We got a bit of a tease last week, with the secondary guys and the bench guys. But now
they played well. They beat France.
Absolutely, they played well, 100%. And it just shows the quality of Polish volleyball. And I think it's a huge testament to what they've been doing over there and how the Plus Liga has been growing and stuff like that, that they're able to have this roster and this solid of a roster. Like, legitimately looking at this roster right now, this is, to me, a roster that can win the World Championships.
Completely agree, even without Wilfredo Leon.
Even without Leon, right? Which is absolutely scary. But like, I think it's a huge testament to what that program is doing, and the fact that they have Gerbich leading it all, I think is even better. A massive upgrade from Heinen last year. But this team is gonna be scary. And they still have a few guys to possibly add, like you said, like the fact that Bednors just isn't isn't even around yet. Makes things
he was
very
dealing with
interesting.
a tiny bit of an injury, I think, so maybe he gets back into the mix. But yeah, I mean, think about this starting lineup: Janusz, Biniak, Kokhanovsky, either opposite Semeniuk, and either like Schlifka or Fornal, and like either libero. Like you can mix and match literally any of these 14 players, except for maybe Womack, who we're not particularly high on, and your roster is going to be unbelievable.
But I think another thing to look at too with all of this is that Grbic knows so many of these players.
Totally,
Like
all
how
the
many
Zaxa guys that he coached last year,
right? Exactly. How many of those guys were part of that Zaxa team?
and actually Janusz is the only one that was not, and that's something that I'm really curious to see because Grbic, being a former world-class setter himself, we saw him really roll with Jan Firle in Ottawa, and I think he really learned a lot about him. And this tournament, I expect him to do the exact same with Marcin Janusz because he didn't have Zaxa last year when they won that first Champions League. And then Grbic was gone this year when Zaxa did it again. I think he's going to get a lot of understanding about who Marcin Janusz really is as a setter this week. And Grbic, of all people, is going to get the most out of that, I think.
Real quick in the chat, V-Ball Nut. I think Buchanan is honestly on the same level as Kaczmarek and Kurek.
I don't. He's a little bit behind. He definitely gives up some as a blocker and a defender. And I think that another thing that's nice about both Kaczmarek and Kurek is they can step in and pass the ball as a fourth guy if you really need them to. Both of them are capable of that, and I don't think Buchanan is. Although Buchanan's arm,
really.
Oh, sure. I mean, Kurek was a world-class outside hitter for 10 years.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, so even he once said to me, and I was just like, it's so awesome that you're as good as you are playing on the outside is big. And he's just like, I'm more of an opposite that plays left side. Like I think he would himself even admit that he's not the greatest passer.
But that's okay.
But Kaczmarek, I do think he has that skill. I mean, hey, he did. I'm pretty sure him and Slivka won a beach world championship together, like a junior, like a U21 or a U23 or something like that. So I think he has the skill. However, the one thing about Buchanan is that he's an absolute sledgehammer.
Oh my God, his arm! Watching how hard he hit the ball in person,
his shoulder is absolutely ridiculous. His hand contact is so good. I feel like I want to shake his hand because I feel like it would just crush me. And you know what? I'm not entirely I'm not confident in the longevity of a Bartosz Kurek, right? I'm not sure how much he is in the plan of Paris 2024.
I think he is, but I think after that, that's it. I really do, and I hope that Butcher can stay around for that long. Dan's been high on him for a long time. We finally got to see him, and I think we've already talked about too much about a roster without. I mean, we got to get to some more rosters. We got to get to matches that were played today.
Real quick though, V-Ball Night come back with the fair. Kurek is better than past prime though. Butrin is like a better Bartman.
Kind of similar play styles. I don't hate that comparison.
Zbigniew
Bartman, for those who didn't watch Poland in like 2010-ish, was just a straight fireballer that they had on the right side that just crushed balls with reckless abandon. It was really fun to watch. Buchanan is, I think he's shorter than that for sure. He's also a little bit smarter than that, but as much of a cannon.
He's more of a bulldozer than a bulldog. He's more of a bulldozer than a bulldog, if you know what I mean by that. But man, what are the biggest what ifs with Zbigniew Bartin, who got injured in the semifinals of the 2013 World League, I believe.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So moving on, we got a lot more rosters to look at for men's as teams are really starting to bring A teams. Speaking of A teams, Serbia. Look at this Serbian roster, and after all that they did in Ottawa, I know they went 2-2, but Everett, you and I agreed that they were really our pleasant surprise that week, considering who they brought. Look at those middles: Kursmanovic, Lisinac, Podrashinin. All the boys are there,
and you still got Masilovic, who I thought
was really good.
Me too.
I thought he was really good.
One of my biggest things to look at though is right in the middle of the screen. Everyone's new favorite volleyball player, Nikola Meljanats, is on the roster. We're no more Petkovic. It's him and Antanasievich. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get him in the last match for Serbia. I thought they were going to go 2-2, and then they went with Petkovic, and he was pretty average. But Nikola Meljanats, Aquaman, is here to play. Let's go. Cal Drogo is ready to go.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this guy, watch Nikola Meljanats this week. And so then, Katic, outside hitters. Katic, sort of the ball control character. Kujundžić and Peric, who we met in Ottawa, who were young, and awesome. And then Nemanja Petric, who's like an old school. He's their captain. He's been there before. He's like the perfect veteran. And then the same two liberos. Like that Serbian roster, they're back to the point where really their questions are, what kind of Atanasijevic are you going to get? And is Jovovic going to be their ceiling as a setter? But I thought he played pretty well in Ottawa. So this Serbian team, especially because I think Serbia plays the USA on tomorrow. Serbia-USA tomorrow is going to be a huge match. This Serbian team is maybe a contender to win this tournament. Maybe.
Wow. Really?
Maybe. They have the best three middles of any team in the tournament. That's not even close.
Yeah, but they're so young on the left side, right? And like Katic is all right. Like if you had Kovacevic in there instead of Milan Katic, then you're starting to look at something pretty serious, right? I'm not sold on Nemanja Petric in a tournament like this where you're going to have to play a lot of games in a short period of time. And you've got two young guys. Yes, we were impressed by Kunjic and Peric in Ottawa. However, once you start getting that pressure that some of the big teams are going to be able to bring, like I think that's where we're going to see them start to break down. So hopefully. I'm not sold on them at all as a team. I'm sold on them as a playoff team, but I think there's an outside chance that they even make it to the semifinals. I don't think they win into their first round of the playoffs.
Okay, I'm a little higher on them than you are then. Moving on to Brazil, one of the disappointments of week one, getting that sweep by China was one of the great upsets really I've ever seen in volleyball. Brazil dropped out of the number one spot in the world rankings for the first time in 20 years. That spot now occupied by Poland. So Brazil, who are in Bulgaria this week, have brought the A team, at least as best they have. You've got Cachopa and Bruno setters, Lucas, Flavio, Isak, and then Leandro Santos at middle, who I don't know who he is, but those three are Olympic caliber. You have both Souzas at opposite, Alan Souza and Dan's favorite, Darlin Souza, his younger brother. The two opposites, I'm curious to see him. And then outside hitters, you got Yoandi Leal, and you got Ricardo Lucarelli. I did not know if Lucarelli was going to be healthy for this.
That's honestly all that's their biggest hole right now. Totally. They got destroyed on the left side.
Terrible.
They just looked terrible, and they weren't able to do anything else. Now that Leal and Lucarelli are back, even if you don't have both of them at the same time, even if you're only rocking with one at the time, you have that anchor there. And then it's really going to come down to which Souza is going to out Souza the Souza, right? Because like it has to.
That sounds stupid, but I know exactly what you mean by that,
right? Like who's it going to come down to, right? Let's just duke it out Souza style. I love it.
Love it. So yeah, this is basically Brazil's A team. There's not really missing anybody here, and they have some questions to answer after a pretty bad week last week. Moving on to Italy. Speaking of A teams, oh my goodness, really the only player missing here is Ivan Zaitsev. They have everybody else. Gianelli and Spertoli setting, Anzani, Galassi at the middles, and then Cortesia and Mosca behind them. They're bench formers. They might see a little bit of time. Opposites, Pinali and Romano. I mean, those are the guys without Zaitsev. I think Pinali is a huge liability. I was not impressed by him at all in Ottawa, but Romano looked pretty good. And then more importantly, you have Botolo, Lavia, and Micheletto. And then Aresta Cavuto is their fourth outside hitter.
I think you're going to see.
They can run three outside hitters. They can do the Trentino thing. They can put Lavia opposite the setter. They can run with Botolo and Micheletto as the outsides. And then Fabio Balasso, one of the best liberos in the world, is back. They can do the Trentino thing. And I'm really curious to see if they try it, because I think that with the uncertainty of both Romano and Pinali, I think that they really might be onto something there, bringing that Trentino system to the national team.
My big question right now is Fernandino Di Giorgi is going to be there? Because last we heard he had to quarantine for 10 days in an Ottawa hotel room after contracting COVID in Ottawa.
The very last day, and that 10 days would be up, I believe, tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, something like that, right? So is he there? Is he in the Philippines with the team right now? And if not, who's going to be running this team, right? And do they have the balls to run a three outside hitter system, right? That's my biggest question. If we do know that Micheletto's father is part of the roster, for that Italian team. So you know that they have some of that Trentino influence there. So I think they just might. We might be able to see it. And to be perfectly honest, like, you know, we want to talk about Botoro, Lavia, and Micheletto. I do think Cavuto is decent enough to be able to get some minutes in there. I think he's going to get some. I think he's going to get some swings this week. And I think also we're probably going to see an offense majoritarily run by Spertoli. Right, Gianelli played pretty much every single minute in Ottawa. He's going to get the rest a little bit in the Philippines.
I agree with you, and I was going to bring up the same thing. I think Spertoli gets at least 2 full matches of the 4, if not maybe 3.
I would say he gets 3.
Okay, yeah, at bare minimum 2. I think it's time to give him that run. He played all VNL last year, was good, had a great club season, and if there's a guy to run the 3 outside hitter system, it's the guy who set that Trentino team this year. So
exactly.
I'm excited to see Micheletto again for sure. And Bolasso as well is a nice pickup. Moving on to France. France's roster is very similar to what we saw in Ottawa, just a couple of exchanges. One is a setter switch. No Antoine Brizard, but Benjamin Toniuti is back. So that's really cool. Nicolas Legoff is in. He replaced one of their backup middles, so now they've got really their 2 starters. And then Kevin Tilly, who's injured, was replaced by Trevor Clevenot. So now really France, the only piece they're missing is Zhenya Grebennikov, who just had a kid about a month ago. So he's taking a little bit of paternity time, well-deserved. So
I really wonder is we saw Brizard get injured in the Serbia game, right? We saw
that hand.
Yeah, we saw it
take
it off the hand. I wonder if that injury is what kept Brizard out of this tournament.
I think that I can't remember if I said this or just thought it back in Ottawa, but like I thought it would have made sense to do exactly what Gianni's doing here and just switch one Olympic setter for the other and
Absolutely.
just give Toniuti a week and then give Brizard a week off, exactly like they just did. Whether or not Brizard is injured, I think this makes a lot of sense. And this France team in the Philippines is going to be really dangerous, especially because I don't think they play. Well, they certainly don't play Italy this week. They already did. So France's schedule this week: China, which was forfeit. We'll get to that in just a minute. China, Japan. Who else do they have?
Easy.
Yeah, I'm missing a couple. China, Japan. Man, why aren't these popping up? Netherlands, that's easy. And so, yeah, I don't think they're going to have all that much of a challenge this week. And I would be surprised if France didn't go 4-0, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we also felt that last week, and they
did eventually lose to Poland. Yeah,
exactly. They came a little short on that, but I think this French team right now, just the way they're constructed and the way they're running, you know, bringing Gianni in was the perfect guy, I think, because he's that young players type of coach who's just going to run with them.
Right.
You know, he's not going to come in and want to establish any type of style. He's not going to come in and want to be like, hey guys, we need to play this way. I think what he really did in Ottawa is we came in and he assessed and he was just like, okay, this is the way these guys are going to play. This guy, he reacts in this way. He wanted to get to know the guys a little bit more, rather than trying to impose a style or figure some things out, because they are the Olympic champions and they do everything so well. They're so skilled. So this team is, you know, this is a Final Four team for sure. I 100%
for sure. Yeah, without question. Moving on to Everett's Maple Volleys, who we got to know very well in Ottawa. Really 2 switches only. Like we expected, Everett. Jay Blankenau gets the week off. Yep. He was really struggling and didn't start the Bulgaria match, really struggling in that Italy match. His knee was bothering him to some degree, so he gets the week off. He's replaced by Derek Epp, which we are both, I'm sure, very excited about. We both called for it last week in Ottawa. And then the other switch is the insertion of Eric Lepke. And what I'm surprised by is that he replaces Jesse Elser. So no Jesse Elser this week, and Riley Barnes will dress as the second libero for Canada the entire week in Bulgaria.
Are you sure about that?
Yes,
I'm not.
I am certain about that. Riley Barnes will dress as the second libero the entire week. That comes straight from Claire Hanna, who's there, who talked to Benjo. So the outsides will be Lepke, Marr, Hogue, and Matthias Elser. And then Barnes will be the second libero behind Justin Louis the whole week. And then Epp, Walsh, the setters. Other than that, everything else exactly the same as Ottawa. So that's Howe, Van Berkel, Ashenko and Mark Wilson in the middles, and then Slater and Brody Hofer on the roster as the opposites. So Canada.
Yeah, I mean the only real person that we could integrate there is Danny Demyanenko, who
I was
I'm a
thinking
little
that
bit.
too.
I was
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised that he's not kind of in the mix there. I know that they have 2 other guys on the roster. So they've got 16 guys with them in the Philippines instead of 14, so they can continue training together. But I mean, ultimately, is there any other teams that we need to break down, or can we kind of jump into
just one more, and that is the most important team, the only undefeated men's team that leads the VNL standings right now after sending a B team to Brazil, getting out of there undefeated.
Maybe the nepotism team
by some miracle. This is the United States roster for Bulgaria. Tuaninga and Shaw, again, the setters. Only one different middle, which is Mitch Stahl. We'll get to that in a second. Mitch Stahl in for Pat Gassman. So David Smith, Jeff Jendrick, Mitch Stahl, and Tyler Mitchum, the middles. That's 4 pretty good middles. Kyle Ensing and Kyle Russell at opposite. So no Jake Haynes this time.
Let's go.
I love that Kyle Russell is here. And
honestly, I think he should be the number 1 guy given a sniff.
I do feel too, like except the Tuaninga to Ensing connection. That is the only reason why.
Yeah, but Tuaninga's not the center full time here.
This week he is.
Yeah, but this week I'm talking about in general. I think this should be Kyle Russell's job to at least give a shot at.
I agree with you. We already talked about this. We already talked about this. We already talked about this, and I agree with you. But it's just a stopgap thing to get Matt Anderson back for World Championship. So we'll see. I hope that Russell gets some run this week. Outside hitters for the U.S. TJ DeFalco is in. Thomas Jeschke, Aaron Russell are back, and unfortunately, Garrett Magatutia is back. Those, unfortunately, are probably the 4 World Championship outside hitters, which is stupid, but it is what it is. I'm excited.
Well, who else do you have? Like, who would you sub out Magatutia out for?
Nobody, because assuming that Taylor Sanders gone permanently, that's it. And then
you don't like Cody Kessel.
No. That's it. Like Magatutia at least can control the ball for better, for worse.
We want to go Israel style and bring out JT Hatch out of retirement.
I'm down. He played VLA this year. Eric Shoji is back at libero as well. So this U.S. roster, all they did was go 4-0 last week with the B team and add a better libero, another great opposite option, another great middle option, and another great outside hitter option. So
I'm gonna bet you guys to go 0-4 this week. I just feel it.
Hey, that worked like a charm last week when I thought they were gonna go 0-4 in Brazil and they walked out.
You jinxed everything last Monday when we did our preview show, and you're like, "Oh, Canada's gonna look awesome. They might go 4-0, and the USA is gonna be dog shit." And they ended up going 4-0. But man, they do like that. USA Serbia match tomorrow afternoon is going to be
really, really good.
Big time. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
So that's it for rosters. Let's talk about matches that were played, because there were some today. This is the beauty of VNL is, like, other than the day of Monday, which has no matches, Tuesday through Sunday, whether it's men's or women, just has volleyball on constantly, which is sweet. So by the time we woke up here in North America, Slovenia had already been swept by the Netherlands.
Man, Slovenia is looking bad.
Like we're talking bad. Like,
Lebedew, what's happening, bro?
It's bad. So they brought Tine Ernout this week. Is the only addition from the roster that was in Brazil. He didn't play this match. Rakmozic only 12 points. Namir Abdelaziz 18 points, led all players with 3 aces. If you have Benny Tweenstra outscoring Rakmozic, you've got a problem on your hands. That should not be the case.
Man, look at that. Like 12 from Mozic, 11 for Ziga Stern. Like, what is going on with the Slovenia team? Like, they are just falling apart in front of our eyes, and it seemed like everything was set up too. Like, they had that golden generation with Chabul and Ernout and Stern and all those guys, and they were going to be like, "Hey, Rakmozic, you are the leading scorer in Italy. Here's the team," and it's just the baton has been dropped so far for Slovenia.
I wouldn't even say it's Mozic's fault. It's just like everything else on that team just doesn't work. I can't really figure it out.
Well, you just don't really have anyone other than Rakmozic, right? Like, who do you have on the right side? Random.
It wasn't Tonček Stern. It was some character named Concilia.
Yeah,
Danielle Concilia. and I have no idea who that is.
So you have no one. You have
8
no one on the right
points.
side there, and they're just like all of that pressure is going on to
Yeah,
Rasmussen right now.
8 for 20 with 3 errors was this Concilia character. Hey Everett,
So
but I wanted to throw this out there. If you're ever in trouble, buddy, if you I don't know, you get yourself into trouble, you're running away from the cops, perhaps you can come to my place. You can hide, and I will Concilia. Get it? You see what I did there?
we don't even know if that's his name.
It is. That's his name. That's how you pronounce it.
How do you know?
Because I know how to pronounce Slovenian. I've done my work. It's okay. That joke was horrible. I apologize to all the viewers. Let's move on.
Terrible.
Yeah,
I'm
so
watching
bad.
our viewer count just plummet right now. Jeez, that was bad. Oh yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next one.
Wait. There's a point in the chat that says crazy Barnes slander. No, I'm not slandering Riley Barnes. I didn't say anything bad about him. I stated a fact. He is the second libero this week. That is what Ben Josephson has said. This, and you saw it today. He dressed at libero. He even came in for Justin Louis at libero today and played well.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything bad about Riley Barnes. I stated a fact. Every match this week, Riley Barnes will be dressed as the second libero for Canada. That is just the way that they're doing it this week. So get out of here with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Moving on to Argentina, Japan.
Japan. So again, I woke up to this, didn't get to watch any of it. Watch the highlights after the fact. The numbers here: Japan outblocked Argentina 6-5. But more importantly, look at these serving numbers. Argentina 1 ace to 18 errors. Brutal. Conversely, Japan 9 aces to 20 errors. A lot of errors, but that ratio pretty darn good. 3 aces from Nishida, 3 from Ishikawa, 3 total from their 2 middles. Like Argentina, I mean, Bruno Lima was fine, 18 points today. They've got to get something consistently out of their outside hitters. That position is a revolving door right now.
Of all the teams, like I thought with Palacios and Polonsky that they were going to be solid, and they just look like they're struggling. Like out of all the teams in the VNL, they, other than like the Netherlands, maybe
the bad
Australia,
teams. Yeah,
the bad teams. They have some of the worst left sides right now in the VNL.
I wouldn't even say that they're playing badly. It's just that they can't decide who's going to play ever. So they have 5 of them, and we've seen at least 4. Palacios and Lazo started today. Then Vicentin came in. So they have 5. I have no idea who Vicentin is. And then Polonsky and Armoa didn't even play. So they have 5 guys that have already seen time this VNL, and nobody's like taken that role and really made it theirs, because all of their leashes are a little too short, in my opinion. I saw, as I did all 4 Argentina games in Ottawa, commentated them, and they had very short leashes. Mendez would just pull them like halfway through the first set if they weren't hitting 750. Like it was just way too much inconsistency was from who was on the court at that outside hitter spot for Argentina.
I do think right now, too, is that Argentina has a lot of uncertainty and they're lacking a little bit of confidence, and that's terrible against Japan, because Japan is a team that's going to be playing with ultimate confidence, and they're flying right now. They are absolutely motoring. Like these numbers from Nishida are absolutely like they're pretty damn good. 25 points, 20 kills, 3 aces, 2 blocks. Like those are some all-world numbers. And they're like they've got it. Like the entire team is just bought in, and that's Japanese volleyball. So when you're not feeling yourself and you go up against Japan, I mean, we've seen it with Canada a lot, where it's an off night. We have some B guys out there, and Japan just throttles us. And this is exactly what's going to happen. It's why they're consistently in the top 10 in the world.
Yeah, and Japan, just based on the eye test, looks really, really good. And it's going to take a team that can play almost as clean as them, but much like bigger and with more firepower than them to beat them consistently. And that's not a recipe that a lot of teams in the world can really do right now that I can pick off the top of my head, or at least not many that Japan has played yet. Japan also has had so far a pretty easy schedule, just like the women. So that actually
really?
Just today,
I wonder how that happened.
Yeah, funny, crazy.
I wonder.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so following along with Japan this week is going to be interesting. They play France. That is going to be their first real test.
When is that?
I think it's 2 days from now. Friday. Friday. Unfortunately, it's at 3 a.m. Eastern time. So that's a shame. But that's going to be the first real test for Japan.
So I'll be getting home from work at that time. So I will watch that.
Okay. Yeah. Moving on. The Maple Volleys.
Yeah, let's dive into what we should have started
in a match that the Maple Volleys today, the Canadian men had to win.
Oh, it started bad.
Must win,
and it
started terrible. It was tied.
It started bad.
Tied 15-15 in the first. Australia went on a 6-0 run where Canada got
but way before that we were up by a lot.
I know
it was 9-4, 9-5,
12-7 or something. But
yeah,
it was 15-15, and Australia went on a 6-0 run. Canada got trapped in rotation. One looked terrible. Couldn't pass 75% jump spin serves. It was bad. It looked bad. It looked like the bad Canada that we saw in Ottawa. But then, fortunately, they totally turned it around. 1-2 in extras, and then 25-19, 25-22 to beat Dave Preston, get 3 points, and in a match that really will have a lot to do with who gets relegated. We got to be honest there. And even in the post-match interview, Stephen Marr acknowledged that. He was like, yeah, this is the reality. Being a challenger team in VNL, when you play another challenger team, that match matters just that little bit more. We've got to stay in VNL. Mission accomplished here for Canada.
Yep. Pretty much. I mean, you basically said it all. Thanks.
Hey, there's some numbers. There's some numbers that are worth getting into.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, for sure. But to be honest, like scared after the first set. Like that's and into the second, right? Because it looked like there for a bit that they were going to be going up. Like we nearly got out of the second set by the skin of their pants. Realistically, they started with Nick Hogue. Didn't go well for El Capitan on this day. Just wasn't good in serve receive, wasn't good attacking. Canada had 5 errors in the first set in attacking alone, not even serving in anything else, just attacking. And then they made 8 errors in the rest of the match. So they really started to limit that. We saw Eric Lepke for the first time. He came in and did a really good job. I found like just didn't try to do too much. Just kind of went out there and did his thing, added a good 5 points, but just he understands the system and he knows how to play in with it. You could just tell he was way more comfortable out there, especially when they brought Epp in too. Like that connection was working really well. But at the end of the day, man, Stephen Marr has been absolutely unreal so far in this VNL. He's second in scoring, third in attacking, 10th in passing, 15th in service aces. Like he has been leading this team unreal. Another 23-point performance here.
19 for 35 with no errors.
Zero
errors for Stephen Marr today. He is the reason that Canada won this match. Deserves all the credit in the world. And I thought there were times, especially in the third set, where Ryan Slater really stepped up as well. 13 for 24 was reasonably good. Plus a block, 2 aces.
He's been very streaky for me, and
he has been streaky. I agree.
This definitely hasn't been the best version of Ryan Slater that we've seen. And I don't know if that's just due to the change in style that they're playing, or maybe he's a little bit older now and just past his prime. I'm not entirely sure. I hope that's not the case. But there's just a few plays, and where I'm mostly disappointed with Slater's play right now is defensively. Just a lot of chop shot, short stuff, kind of BS stuff that shouldn't be falling is falling in front of Slater. Offensively, he is making like 1 or 2 many errors for me throughout the match, but that I can deal with. Defensively, let's start digging a couple more balls there, Slate, and let's get her going in transition.
Yeah, the couple of things that I really talked about in Ottawa for Canada as a team were off-speed defense, like you're just talking about with Slater. Like you got to dig some of those tips and rolls, and then their huge weakness in short serves. Anytime that teams have figured out a way to make either Jackson Howe or a
not only serves but in offensively as well too. Anything short, anything short
has killed Canada, and that is definitely an area they've got to figure out. This was an opportunity against an Australian team that shouldn't be on paper that good at serving to really figure that out. The first set looked brutal. Australia in the match had 8 aces, which is too many if you're a Canadian fan. But on the Australian side, one bright spot. This Pope kid, Lorenzo Pope, he's 21. He's 2 meters and 5. He plays outside hitter. He went 13 for 35 as their like primary offensive option. He had a stuff block that basically ended Brody Hofer's career. Sorry, Brody, for watching this, but that was just disgusting. And he, at 21, looks like a piece that maybe Dave Preston and the Volleyroos can build around, because as we know, other than their middles, who actually both had really good games, Weir and Graham were their second and third leading scorers, which was very impressive. This Pope kid looks like a piece. He looks like a piece, and he hasn't even played internationally yet. Like he
this is his first look.
Hasn't gone pro yet. This is his first VNL. That is a prospect to watch for sure. Lorenzo
he's a big body. He's athletic. He seems like he's got a bit of attitude to his game. I kind of like it. It's going to be interesting to see what DP does with him. I mean, Weir out there is he's feeling like he's back at Brandon University in Brandon, Manitoba, just playing with a bunch of U Sport guys out there. So that's probably why he had a good one too.
10 for 17 plus 2 blocks and 2 aces for a medal.
Absolutely.
That's nice.
Yeah, so big shout out to that Brandon program. One of the best. Like they recruit those international guys a lot. But today was just a big sigh of relief. You're still seeing, like, against Bulgaria, we saw them really take a step back in terms of the speed, especially they were running on the pipe, and we saw them take a step more towards the fast side again today. Like it wasn't a hey, let's change the offense. Let's just change it for tonight. In the next game, we're going to go back at it. And that's what we're still seeing, a lot of those miscommunications, those
a lot of off speed still.
Ultimately, what you're really seeing right now is we're really, really missing Blair Ban. Blair Ban was the quarterback. He was the prime defender of that defensive line. If you just watched him set up before any type of play, giving out cues, giving out gaps and seams, and he was so on it. And we just don't have that guy. There's so many times today that Brett Walsh is taking that first ball and then we're automatically going to an out of system situation. And somebody else needs to be stepping into there. And Justin Louis, he's going to be that guy. I know he is. I have faith. He's just a little bit young so far. Riley Barnes, the same thing, solid all-around player, solid passer, but he doesn't have that mentality of that number one, that top 10 libero in the world, like Blair Ban had, right? And that's really what we're missing today. But we managed to pull out a big win today, and that's all that matters. A big W on the scoreboard, and now we're up to 2-3 on the.
A win is a win. Moving on up next for Canada, a couple very tough matches: Poland and Serbia, followed by Iran. So I think 2-2 this week is good. I think Iran is very winnable. I don't see you, but you definitely aren't going to beat Poland. I can guarantee you that. But
stranger things are happening. You guys went 4-0 last week, so I mean,
Canada will not beat Poland.
Well, so far your guarantees have been pretty bad. So I'm going to jump on that guarantee.
I haven't guaranteed a thing this VNL. I've given some of my softer predictions. This is my first guarantee of VNL. Canada will not beat Poland. That I guarantee. Okay. But Serbia, these will be some good tests for the Canadian team. And you are, unfortunately, after that start, running out of time in regards to the playoffs. But beating Australia was huge for staying in VNL. That will check a very important box. And I think we should move on to the final match.
Yeah. This one was an interesting one, man. I'm really starting to worry about Iran, and not only in this VNL, but in their spot because I feel like in the last decade, Iran and Canada were the two teams to really come out of the crappy teams, out of the toilet bowl, out of the garbage can, to come into the somewhat decent teams, the teams that can come out there and perform, get wins against any team. Like on a good day, they can beat anyone. And compete with anyone. For me right now, we're seeing Canada make that transition to stay at this level. And I think right now, if we go 2-2 this week, we just figure things out. Like that's a win for us. But Iran, I'm looking at this team and I just don't see where they're going in general. Right. And maybe that's just because I have such intimate knowledge of the Canadian national team and I believe so much in what they're doing. And I have no reference point whatsoever for Iran. But it's just that, I don't see them competing at that same level as they once did, even close to.
Yeah, I think that's a great comparison between Iran and Canada. Teams that before the year, 2010-ish, were just nowhere to be found in really the landscape of international volleyball, then created a sustainable program on the back of sort of a golden generation, got to the Olympics consistently, and now after some turnover are trying to stay there. I am with you. I think Iran should be very concerned about making the next Olympics. I don't see it right now. Their world ranking is dropping precipitously. They don't have the benefit of playing in an easy continent anymore, because like the last time this past Olympics they were the only team in Asia because Japan automatically qualified. They didn't have to play them. So Iran was like a shoo-in for the Olympics. Without the benefit of the easy continent with the new system, and without, just as good of a team as they used to have, I would not predict Iran to make the Olympics in 2024. Or I don't know if I see the pipeline of new players just yet to get them there even afterwards. I just don't quite see it yet. And I'll admit, I did watch the whole match today, but I didn't see much of them down in Brazil. I know they just didn't really do anything all that significant. But this match against Bulgaria today, Iran had some real opportunities in both sets 2 and 3, couldn't quite figure it out, and I do give Bulgaria credit because we saw Bulgaria in Ottawa. We know they went 0-4, but you and I, Everett, both knew that they were better than that. Sure enough, they play at home in front of an incredible crowd.
The Bulgarians are going to show up.
They were amazing. And I mean, stop me if you've heard this one before. Alex Nikolov is the truth. 52% efficiency. 20 for 31 with only 4 errors. The kid is amazing.
I really don't want to get into it again because we talked about it so much when we were in Ottawa, but watching him play is just poetry in motion. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a player who's so smooth and so natural with his movements and just so confident in what he does. At age 18, at the size that he is, at the level that he executes at, he has the potential to be let's put him like, I know it might be early and those other guys have done it at a much different level than he has in Italy and on national teams and whatnot, but like, just from the eye test, I have to start looking at him as being one of the best young talents we have in the world right now, alongside Micheletto, alongside Marlon Yant, alongside Rock Milzic, because he is just so damn good.
He's right in there. He really, really is. And if you think that's crazy to say, you've just got to trust us that we've seen the kid play in real life now, and he just really is that special. On the other hand, I think Rado Parapunov really needs to play better. He was not good enough in this one. 4 for 12 with 3 errors plus a block and an ace, 6 points only in 3 sets. Bulgaria needs an opposite. And right now, I mean, Martin Atanasov is really good, and Nikolov is the truth. I think Saganov is like good enough. Their libero is kind of a non-factor. Their middles are okay. I'm really surprised Alex Grozdanov isn't on the roster this week. That's a little weird, but
just give Grozdanov a rest because he's hands down your best. He's
by far their best middle. But yeah, until Sokolov comes back, maybe for the World Championships, they need more out of their opposite. Man,
but I don't know why they're not giving Karyagin a sniff. Like, I thought he was pretty good when he came in for them in Ottawa.
I think they're both a little erratic. I think they're both a little spray the ball out of bounds prone. I wouldn't hate seeing really either one of them. I think they're both similar. Just one's a righty, one's a lefty. They need more out of their opposite spot for sure. But
yeah, I mean,
a very important win today for Bulgaria. Very, very important to get those 3 points, to do it at home. They're a challenger team as well. They need to stay away from relegated. They need to outpace Australia. This was big for Bulgaria today.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those challenger teams are at the bottom, right? Like China's a challenger team. They've only got 1 win. Argentina, are they a challenger team?
No, Argentina is a core team. Yeah,
it's Australia, China, Bulgaria,
Bulgaria, Canada, and I think Slovenia is the last one.
That would make sense. So all of those teams in the the bottom 6, realistically bottom 7. So yeah, going to be interesting. But right now, just looking like our Australia, unfortunately.
Yeah,
unless
does not look good.
Unless a miracle can happen this week here in Bulgaria, I just don't see much coming from Australia whatsoever.
Australia plays Bulgaria with the Bulgarian crowd. I don't see that. They play Poland, no way, and Serbia, no way. I don't see it this week.
And even when they finish off, they have to finish off Japan, Germany, Argentina, and France.
Ouch, dude.
Yeah, if they wanted to get wins week one, like that's how Argentina's in a bad state. They lose to Brazil, who was horseshit. lost to Slovenia, who's horseshit, lost to Iran, who sucks, and lost to the Netherlands. They lost to all the next worst teams, and then the next one is like literally they lost to all the bottom 6 teams first, except for Brazil, of course, but might as well put them there right now. So Australia, man. Not going to be pretty for you guys.
So that'll do it for the matches that happened today. A couple matches really to look forward to this week. Brazil versus Poland is tomorrow, and the USA versus Serbia tomorrow. Both of those matches in Bulgaria tomorrow will be awesome. So Brazil, Poland, USA, Serbia. Let's see. Those match times are
10 a.m. Eastern,
10 a.m. Eastern, and
1 p.m.
1 p.m. Those are very American-friendly times. So Brazil, Poland, Serbia, USA will be really good. Japan versus Italy on Friday. That's probably at a terrible time. No, it's at 7 a.m. Yeah, it could be worse.
Okay.
That's in this pool over here. Canada versus Iran Saturday is a big one for Canada. And then Japan versus France back in this pool, which is in the middle of the night, but that's a big one as well. And then USA Poland Sunday is a really big one.
Ooh, that should be a fun one.
So a couple spicy matches.
Yeah.
Couple
Absolutely.
Spicy matches going on this week. So volleyballworld.tv is where you can watch all those, or join the Discord. We can help you out if possible. Couple other things, Everett, before we wrap up the show this week, starting with our friends at BetUS. Give the people.
All right, guys. You watch sports? I mean, we're kind of in a dead zone. The NHL playoffs are just about to wrap up. Did you bet on the Golden State Warriors? I have a buddy who bet on the Golden State Warriors in like January. Big shout out to Jared Brown. And he got a huge payout. You know where you can get a huge payout? Over here with our friends at BetUS. They're the longest running sports book in the United States. They've been around since 1994. That's why they're called America's favorite sports book. And when you sign up with them and use the code Volley125, you're going to get a $125 discount bonus. That being said, if you deposit $100, you are going to get $125 extra for free. It is literally free money. And what you're going to do is you're going to go put it on a nice little baseball game. Maybe a few do a nice little parlay, turn it into like maybe 300. And then you go home and buy the missus something pretty. That's how it's going to work. All right. So go use the code Volley125 when you sign up with BetUS. You can just go and click the link below.
And next, and very importantly, if you want this T-shirt that Everett is wearing, check this out again.
Court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on back your shirt?
Yeah, if you want some swag, kind of like.
You know what we should do is that quote. It's like the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball.
Still play it on court's still 9x9.
The court's still 9x9. When we should quote that. Oh, I'm going to put that on a T-shirt.
Well, if you want to buy T-shirts with the Spicy Volleyball logo, which is an all-time great, or 9x9, or any other great volleyball merch, there really isn't that much volleyball merch out there, but there is thatvolleyball.store. So thatvolleyball.store is open, and you can buy all sorts of good stuff from there. So give that a look. Links in the description. Yeah, thatvolleyball.store is open for 9x9 merch if you want to support the show, or any other sorts of volleyball merch that you can wear to grass tournaments this summer or whatever. There's a lot of great stuff in there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is that it?
A couple other things. Just more national team news. The European Golden and Silver Leagues are going on. Now, I don't blame you for not watching them. I haven't watched them because there's VNL going on with real teams playing. But there is some stuff on the line in those matches because the format, if you're trying to get into VNL, you need to win the FIVB Challenger Cup, which is a tournament featuring a handful of continental qualifiers from all over the world. To get into the FIVB Challenger Cup, you need to win a certain continental national team tournament, most of which are extremely insignificant because most of the continents, they're only good teams are already playing VNL. Europe, however, being the most stacked continent in the world by far, does have some pretty meaningful continental national team action going on. And the Golden Leagues, which are the teams that send European teams to Challenge Cup, are both wrapped up. They both wrapped up this week. And on the men's side, a very, very surprising result. The Czech Republic wins the CEV Golden League. Oh, he wasn't there. He wasn't there. Vesina wasn't there. Even Hadrava wasn't there. Like, they were missing everybody. I didn't recognize anybody from that Czech team, and they beat Adis Lagumsha. They beat Arsan Ekşi, and they beat Turkey in the finals of the CV Golden League to win that tournament and go to Challenger Cup. I was shocked by that. They also beat the Ukraine in the semifinals, which both Ukraine and Turkey I think are better than the Czech Republic right now. Czech Republic beat both
Ukraine
of them.
have
They're going to challenge.
Plotnowski and Glader?
Plotnitsky for sure. They had Plotnitsky for sure. I don't know about Glader. I'll put up the score sheets really quick. But a very, very surprising result for the Czech Republic to win the CEV Golden League and go to FIVB Challenger Cup. If you are Cuba, you are thrilled about this because that takes one of your main competitors, which would have been either Turkey or Ukraine. I think both have a better chance to beat Cuba than Czech Republic does.
Yeah, but I know once Czech Republic brings back those guys, you bring back Vecina, you bring back Dazranak,
I don't know.
I
don't know. I don't know. I certainly
maybe.
I think Hadrava would be subtraction by addition, to say the least. But
that's what you keep saying. And JW ended up beating Lube in the first round of the Champions League. So
very, very surprised. So yeah, the Czech Republic wins the CEV Golden League. They'll play an FIVB Challenger Cup.
When is that Challenger tournament?
I think it's later this summer. I'm honestly not sure. Then on the women's side, the Czech Republic appeared in the finals on the women's side as well, but they lost to France. So France beats the Czech Republic 3-0 in women's CEV Golden League. They will play FIVB Challenger Cup for a chance to play VNL. And honestly, looking like elsewhere in the world, I don't really know if they're going to have much competition in that Challenger Cup tournament. I don't really know who else would be in that mix.
Argentina,
maybe
like Puerto Rico, maybe. They're not really that strong anymore.
Challenger Cup men's is the last weekend of July.
Okay.
And women's is also the last weekend of July.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, women's Challenger Cup is France, Croatia because they're hosting, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Czech Republic because they're the top-ranked team in Europe, Cameroon, and Kazakhstan. Yikes! There's not really that much.
So it's going to come back to Czechia and France, basically.
Probably.
So who's on the men's side?
Turkey because they won Golden League last year and there was no Challenger Cup last year. Then Qatar from Asia, Tunisia, Chile, Cuba, and Korea because they're hosting. So that I think
you have 4 teams there that are all not bad,
3.
Right? I think Korea has an outside chance.
They do not.
I mean, what do you know about Korean volleyball right now?
Nothing.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying is this is a country that actually has pretty good systems. They have a pretty decent league, right? They're
the poor man's version of Japan at every position, and they're not going to beat. They certainly can't beat Cuba or Turkey.
But we don't know what Cuba's going to be bringing.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really the question. Cuba's the best team at that tournament for sure, but can they?
Cuba's the best team when they're good, but they're also terrible when they're bad.
Yes, they are.
Do they have Robert Landy Simone? Right? Who's going to be setting for them? Is it Adrian Goida? Who's going to be on the right side for them? There's a lot of unknowns about Cuba.
And do they have any
Ronnie
intention?
On here? He's going to tell us
if they win that tournament and get the VNL spot. Do they have any intention of even playing VNL? Will they be financially able to play VNL?
You know the FIVB and Norseca will come up with some fun little way to get them there.
I hope so. Honestly, I honestly hope so.
I do too.
Speaking of Cuba, it was a fun storyline and a trash talking point in the Discord that Cuba overtook Canada in the world rankings after Canada's bad week in Ottawa.
Ooh, did that change?
It did.
Yes,
Canada, after beating Australia today, now leads Cuba by 2 points.
Yeah, suck it, Ronnie.
2 points, and as soon as Canada loses to Poland, they'll probably drop right back down below.
Probably not. We probably won't lose that many points for losing to the number 1 team in the world.
But for
Win
now,
a set, we're good to go.
But for now, Canada leads Cuba in the world rankings. So, Ronnie, yeah, you heard Everett just now. So I think that's about it. A lot of national team going on. There's good matches all this week in VNL. Men's VNL, that is. The women come back next Tuesday, who we'll talk about on next week's show. So a lot less frequency of shows for us now than we had while we were there in Ottawa doing 2 a day. But to talk about all this stuff, all these matches as they're going on, you can join the Volleyball Source Discord. The link is in the description. We are popping off literally all the time, 24 hours a day, talking about volleyball matches that are going on. And we will see you, fine ladies and gentlemen, next Tuesday.
Hopefully with Dan next time.
All right.
Peace, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next time.